watchmaking has really taken off. It seems like every day there is a new independent watchmaker on the scene with something different to offer. Today we're going to take a look at LAINE watches. This is on the more affordable spectrum of independent watchmaking, and that is something that you really need to take with a grain of salt. Affordable and independent watchmaking don't really go hand in hand, but they use ETA-based movements, so they are slightly more affordable than what you would normally see from independent watchmakers. And they also have some really amazing dials. So let's flip the camera and take a look at LAINE watches. This is one of the best blue dial watches I think I've ever had on my channel, and I'm very excited to show it to you guys. So I have to say, this is one of the best blue dial watches that I've had on my channel, hands down. This is a Fume dial. It's all one piece. It looks like it's in separate pieces, but it's actually all one piece. You have small seconds at the 6 o'clock, and then you have a central area, which is lighter than the outer area. And that's because it's obviously a Fume, so you're darker on the outside, lighter on the inside. Then you have a track, a minute track. That's all part of that single piece of dial. I think it's all carved from this one piece of metal, and then it's sort of frosted, and then they put that Fume pattern, and then they put a little plaque. So that's a separate piece. That plaque is the logo, so it just says LAINE on there. That's it. Really simple, but very well executed on this dial, and it is gorgeous. I have to say, one of the best dials that I have seen on my channel. And I've seen so many watches, Mosers, I've had tons of different watches on the channel, and I have to say this is really very impressive. Now this watch was lent into the channel, guys, from Belmont Watches. They have tons of watches like this. They sort of specialize in small independent brands, and they have tons of watches that are sort of hard to get, and this is one of them. So if you are interested in this, this is for sale under the original retail price on their website. I think they're selling this for around $7,200. I think this originally retailed for around $8,000 and change. So if you are interested in it, definitely check out Belmont Watches. I will put a link to their website down in the description below. So a lot of work goes into this dial, and obviously it's really good looking, but almost the same amount of attention to detail goes into the movement. And when you flip over this watch, it blows you away that this is actually an ETA movement. This is a Unitas. I think it's like a 6497, but you wouldn't be able to recognize it if you didn't know what the structure of a Unitas movement looked like. Since I do, I noticed the structure here, but other than that, everything looks like it's bespoke. And essentially it is. They're replacing so many parts and refinishing so many parts that it's really not an ETA movement. It's definitely not anywhere near a standard ETA movement anymore. I'll do close-ups of everything, but you're getting that frosting on here, and it's a beautiful frosting. So what they're basically doing is they're taking this to a mirror polish, and then they're sandblasting it, and you're getting sort of almost like a diamond effect. You have circular graining, you have black polished screws, you have a little plaque again right there, sort of the exact same plaque that you get on the front of the watch with the logo, just says LAINE on it. You have a giant screwed in case back. So there are notches here, and I believe this is a screwed in case back, and you get a sapphire crystal. Obviously the most viewing area for this movement, and it's really the reason why you would buy this watch. It's because of the movement and of course the beautiful blue dial on here. It's just gorgeous. And then they actually give you a little bit of treatment on the case itself, so you're getting some bead blasting here. It's that frosted look that they're trying to do, and you have slightly fancy lugs, I guess. They do a little bit here, but nothing too much. It's a very standard looking case, although the movement and the dial aren't very standard looking. They tried to, I guess, make the case look a little bit more standard than the rest of the watch, which I think works. It actually looks really good, and you know, the little extra that they've done to the case makes it look a little bit different. You get a big crown on here. The crown is also signed, has the L on there. It's very, very big. I'll do measurements in just a few minutes so you can see. Usually watches with Unitas movements aren't small because The movement itself was originally a pocket watch movement, or meant for pocket watches, so watches that house this movement have to be a little bit bigger. And I think this is around 40.4 millimeters. Not a huge watch, but it is on the larger side for a dress watch, I would say. And then thickness, hand wound movement, 11 millimeters flat, which is excellent. Big crown. And it's a hand wound movement, so that's good. 6.7 millimeters. And then of course the lug to lug. In the case design, this definitely is on the larger side, the lug to lug, of around 49 millimeters, so 48.8 millimeters. Beautiful. So like I said, they have this for sale on Belmont watches. I think they're selling it for like $7,200. If you wanted to buy this watch right now, I believe it's around $8,000 and change on the LAINE website. You do have choices on the movement finishing, and I think you could actually choose the center portion of the dial now, but obviously that all adds to the price. As it stands right now, I think this is around $8,000 or $8,500, somewhere in that neighborhood, and you can get it for $7,200 on the Belmont website. This gets a crocodile strap. It's a blue crocodile strap, and then you get a really nice LAINE buckle, which is signed, engraved LAINE. It's all bead blasted, I think. Kind of matches the sides of the lugs, which is kind of the point. There is no lume on this watch, really not a sports watch. This is definitely a dress watch, so no lume on here. Quickly, let me show you what I have on my wrist, and then we will throw this on my wrist and then wrap up the video. Today I have another really awesome independent watch. This is Trilobe, and this is a micro rotor, interesting independent brand that is just sort of new. They really have only, I think, 3 watches right now, but they came out with like an exploded version of this, which looks phenomenal. Essentially how this works is you have running seconds right there, just a little disc that is sort of spinning, and then you have minutes and then hours. Very simple way of telling the time, however, very interesting. And then you have the movement, which is a micro rotor, and you can see right here the finishing, very similar to the front of the dial, very similar to what LAINE does. They sort of do a frosted dial, and then they do a frosted movement, which is kind of cool. So here is the LAINE on my 7.5 inch wrist. Like I said, this is like a 40.5 millimeter watch. It is 11 millimeters thick, and then you have almost a 49 millimeter lug to lug. You can see it does wear large on my 7.5 inch wrist. It does not look like a 40 millimeter watch. It wears bigger than that. You do have a very long lug to lug, or not a very long lug to lug, a longer lug to lug. But all in all, like I said, this dial is gorgeous. The dial is really, I think, one of the major selling points for this watch. And then, of course, you know, that movement. So there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. I want to show you the movement before we sign off here, because it is just gorgeous. And I'll do close-ups of everything so you can see everything really close up. I really love it. Really, really love this movement. It's something that if I had it on my wrist, I would probably flip it over constantly to take a look at. Anyway, tell me what you guys think of brands like this. Brands like LAINE, Ming, they use, you know, off-the-shelf movements, but they do some pretty cool things with them. Now, LAINE actually finishes the movement, whereas Ming do not. But, you know, they do really interesting things with their dials. They do really interesting things with their movements, with lume, and all this other stuff. And that's kind of the reason why you go to a independent brand, because you can get something that's not really ordinary, even though they're using sometimes off-the-shelf products. So that's really cool. Anyway, tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.